we're maybe good.
We're successful.
I don't know. People like us, I think.
Yes.
This is golden. Golden.
Start your documentary off.
Everybody knows everyone. The hull of this broken ship gets repaired. Here in the valley of the slum. We won't need to copy shit talk your life. We can have our own thing going. We can have shows every single night. People would admire what we're doing. Yeah, these are our ideas. These are our plans. Get on the floor and put up your hands. Put them all in your mouth. Turn this heavy up. Squeeze the trigger and rock.
As a child, I didn't even understand the idea of DIY music because all you see on TV is big bands, and when they show bands playing live, it's always giant arenas. So when I was a kid growing up, I assumed that every live music venue was a giant arena full of people. I didn't even know that you could play in like a 200 cap club or a 100-person venue or something. That was so beyond me. And then when I was in Connecticut in high school, a couple of my friends took me to a hardcore show at it was like kind of like a church VFW hall type thing, and I was like, what is going on? I had no idea that there was anything other than major arena concerts. So that was kind of an eye-opening experience.
DIY music is important because if it doesn't exist and if people aren't making it, then all we have is what we're told we're allowed to have. Then all we have is Britney Spears and Kesha and Taylor Swift. And don't get me wrong, they're all valid and I really like them. But without them, without the DIY scene itself, then they're all we get. We don't get a choice in it. We don't get to decide what kind of music we want to listen to or what kind of people, or what those people look like even. It's about choice. That's why it's important. Is so we have the option to listen to people we relate to and to support people we relate to.
If you're gonna point a camera at me, please only do it from a cute angle.
The DIY ethic isn't about having DIY ethic. It's just because it's what makes sense to us. Like, I care about the music. I care about our songs, and I want people to be able to hear our songs. And this is the way to me that it makes the most sense. It is frustrating to read interviews with like I know the dude from Fucked Up did an interview with Rolling Stone where he's like, there's no bands that are like Fugazi anymore, like that just doesn't exist. It's like, no, fuck you just are not part of that world. And like, that's fine, but that world totally exists.
I would say the DIY is do it yourself, but the self but the self doesn't necessarily have to be individual. It can also be a collective self. Usually I think that most things that are called DIY are not really the work of one single person, but rather a community of people who have shared values about trying to create alternatives to dominant institutions that usually are the ways that people hear and read about and find out about music.
It's the concept of having a scene of people, a group of people who come and support those musicians when they tour through their town. I think DIY music heavily relies on the involvement and existence of a DIY scene itself.
I see, like in Atlanta, a lot of bands that don't even tour. They don't go anywhere. They don't need to. They're just there for you in your community to like be able to have something to do almost every single night of the week, like at bars, at houses.
For me, it means like playing music with like some like guidelines for how you do it, like playing like all ages shows, playing for a reasonable door price, like enough to like help you cover gas and, you know, the overhead if the venue has any kind of overhead, and like not like, you know, having a booking agent or like a record label promotional person, like, you know, like kind of like running your own band, like managing your own band or your own venue or whatever.
It just means you're more involved in what's happening. And to me, DIY a lot of times has to do with, obviously, with music or film or art, not so much with working on the home. Although that's really cool too, when you can fix your own sink.
Full artistic control of what I do is the thing that makes my job a good one to have. I love what I do because I get to create art and present the things that I do in the way that I choose. If somebody started trying to tell me what to do, it wouldn't be fun to me anymore, and therefore it wouldn't be worth doing, you know? I love what I do for a living. It's really cool and it's exciting, but I mean there's lots of kind of privation to it, you know? I never go home, I have weird relationships with friends and family, and you know, I never shower enough, and all this, and I eat shitty food and all this kind of thing. And all of that's counterbalanced by the fact that I get to be creative for a living.
Nobody really wanted to put out our music, and we didn't want that to, or I guess it was just me, so nobody wanted, like, I just wanted to put it out. I just wanted to get out there right away. And I didn't want to, like, have to fucking try and make something that somebody else was going to see, like, future profit in. I just wanted to make something.
That we're allowed to not get paid, and we still show up.
We go. Will this check support this tour? Will this tour lose my job? Without my job, where's the rent? Should we all just call it quits? The dinner date sure costs a lot when 28 bucks is all you got, and your life is at a stop, and all your dreams are else taught.
LAX is about people who are built up from nothing. The Dropkick Murphys and the Mighty Mighty Boss Zones are built up from nothing, and we have to go to American royalty, the West Coast, and bow down to them and say, do you think we are pretty enough to take to the prom? And that's the American dream. Do you think I'm pretty enough?
You think you're so fucking impressive? Get your name on the fucking guest list, raise your nose to the people in line, give the doorman a fucking high five.
When you hear a question like, what is DIY? I have to put it separate to what is punk rock. Because punk rock today is a very cliquey group of people who have, mostly in California, figured out a really good market of music, and they have a very good business.
And fuck all of your deceiving. What's your fake heart, fake fucking bleeding? And all the girls you lay to your mat are the same fucking girls you fucking laugh at.
So that it's a casino in Connecticut, and we got 5 hotel rooms for 2 nights. Yeah. And we were allowed to go to the pool and the jacuzzi, and we were also allowed to use the workers' cafeteria, which they gave us some free drinks. They gave you some free drinks, is what he's asking. And we went to the bright lights, and we went to the free hotel rooms, and we experienced it for 2 days. And as we drove out, we did not like what we did. And we showed up here, and it was very cold. And right when we showed up, we were exactly where we wanted to be.
There comes this code of ethics along with it that I really like. You know, I feel like a lot of people in the DIY scene are like modern day knights in a way. You know, because there's this. You know, it's not a strict code of ethics, but it's a sort of a fluid code of ethics that meanders and fits with the times in a way. And generally it's about not being a dick and being the best human being that you can be and making good connections with people.
You know, a DIY band is generally politically correct, meaning, you know, they're, you know, cautious and like aware of like homophobia and sexism and racism and, you know, like gender inequality and all the, you know, things that people care about. But some bands have a totally different opinion and think as long as they screen print their own t-shirts, then they're DIY and they can, you know, sing about their ex-girlfriend being a slut or whatever, and that's okay.
If your DIY scene isn't actively moving against the grain to promote female artists and to promote, you know, just girls coming to shows like anybody else, then it's not really a DIY scene because it's not moving against any grain. It's just, you know, it's not really an underground or cool scene. It's just like anything else. It's just like any other show or any other scene or any other group of people. Because to really be moving against, you know, the societal norms of music and everything else, then our scenes have to be special and that, like, you know, women are encouraged. And so I've really come to a place where I feel like when I run across scenes or meet people in scenes and we talk and they're not scenes that, you know, have any girls who play any instruments or sing or do anything. I don't think those scenes are worth anything to me anymore. And I think it shows a real laziness on, you know, the scene's part, and maybe that's really harsh, and it might be, but as a girl in a scene in Bloomington where I feel like, you know, people try to push girl musicians a lot here, and we still don't have a lot, I just think it's important that DIY scenes, like, especially take a step back and realize what they're doing wrong or what they could do better.
When I've been in DIY spaces, I've been perhaps most struck, like regardless of like questions of accessibility or questions of cliquishness, like people respecting my own autonomy, people like if I'm willing to put myself out there towards a project, people are with me, I feel like, and able to think of resources that might help me, think of ways that I might be able to do it differently. And sometimes I'm wrong, and I love the chance to be wrong, but also the chance to be brought along, which is sort of how I'm here in the first place.
When punk can be self-critical, it's a really good thing, and we can talk about the realities of like, hey, there's no women in a lot of these bands. There's no people of color in a lot of these bands. There's no minorities in a lot of these fucking bands. Like, why is that? Let's take a look at it and let's think about it. And one of the really cool things that happens in New Orleans, where I live, is there's this festival that's put on by this person, Osa, and it's called Not Enough Fest. And what it is it's a series of workshops. It starts with like a meet and greet where a bunch of people, and she encourages, you know, women and, you know, people of color, various ethnicities to like come to these workshops. And the goal is to get more women in bands and start these things. Of course, punk is not always this way. And by and large, it is still very much dominated by a male patriarchy, whatever you want to call it. And there is a lot of people that are scared of having those discussions because it sucks to feel, I think for a lot of people, like, oh, I'm the oppressor, or I'm whatever. But, you know, people, when they're very self-critical and can talk about those things, it can be really wonderful.
It comes with reputation, and it's about how you conduct yourselves. Like, if some band is not treating people well, it gets around really fast. And I guess it's the same thing with like good people and good music. So if you're good people and you play good songs, they'll travel around just peer to peer. People burn CDs, make mixtapes, whatever. So it just works out really well.
We're here for a very short time on this earth, and I think like being able to make good, positive human connections, and make them and live in a way that is not hurting, is hurting as few people as possible, I guess. You know, and that goes along with like, as hurting as few possible, that means cheaper shows, you know, shows that, you know, I mean, bands do need X amount of gas money to get to the next place, and that's a reality, and, you know, but ultimately we want to make sure that everyone can come to a show if they want to feel like at home, because that's a community space. It's not like it's not a venue where people are fucking counting dollars and trying to, you know, make $1 million off of a show.
Some people follow some kind of
religion,
philosophy or religion, and this is my version. So it's nice to have something to gauge my choices based upon.
Yesterday, we played a show in Brooklyn, and it was just like the douchiest douchebags ever working at the venue. The show was awesome, and we had a great time. My point is this: it's incredibly important to just be nice to people off the bat and not be on the fucking people. You know, wait for somebody to be cool enough for you to be nice to them. Like, fuck that shit, man. That is stupid. And I hope that you guys can do that to each other, treat each other well.
It's not like I've ever been presented with another option, but if I was presented with another option, I hope I wouldn't take it, because I hope that this contributes to building something. You know, maybe it will not end up being particularly dangerous and revolutionary, let's say. Maybe DIY punk is not going to be the source of what finally tears down capitalism. I suspect that it won't. But it at least is it's a way to practice alternative values in a way that's very important to me, even if they can't even if we can't by ourselves like replace the dominant values. We at least get a shot at trying to treat each other differently than the world at large.
Planet X? Oh man. Planet X Records is Chris Clavin's record label, and it is, I think, about supporting good people. I think Chris tries to pick musicians he thinks are good people and have good messages, or at least honest messages. I think that's fair to say. I think Planet X is the most DIY thing I've ever heard of or seen in my entire life. And I think what sets Planet X apart for me is that I've always felt like it was really supportive of women and girls and queer people in music. And I don't think there are a lot of record labels that really seek to be supportive of that while also being a pretty traditional, DIY punk label.
Mostly it's just people that Chris knows personally, and he didn't release anything by me until we were friends. And when we were friends, then it was something where like, hey, I'd like to release your record, and it, worked out that way. And I know him, I know where the money's going, I know, if I need something or if I have a disagreement or whatever it is, we can just have a conversation about it, which it's not a lot of disagreements, but just if there's anything I need, he's, a phone call away.
Chris Clavin is a person. He's a cool haircut. Yeah, I like his haircut. Yeah, he's Chris Clavin. He's this, he's the dude who started a label in 94.
1994. Great year for punk rock. Dookie came out that year.
And a lot of people like the label. I think he gets freaked out over the mythology that surrounds him, because he's just some fucking dude.
Chris Clavin is the little god of DIY music.
I went to the Planet X site and I was like, all these CDs are $5. There's some crazy sale happening. And then I started reading more and more and realized that like CDs are very cheap to make, and they're just like selling them for what's still a reasonable price where people can make money. And I just thought it was really like inspiring and cool that somebody was actually being honest and doing that.
Well, it was pretty much just a joke, but mostly it was because no one would put out our band, because our band was just really snotty and generally kind of offensive to most people, because we had our like beliefs, not offensive in like, we were like offensive in a PC way because we were too PC, or like basically just too opinionated, and and just a sloppy punk band that no one had much interest in. And then when we figured out how much it costs to like professionally make a record and a CD, and we're like, man, we should just save up and do it ourselves. And then the first thing we made, the tape, we were just like, well, we should put a record label on the back of it, and then literally at Kinko's, it was just a joke, and my friend Sam drew up a little logo, and that was on the back of it, and that was Planet X Records, like the first thing. So it happened at like 2 a.m. one night at a 24-hour Kinko's. And then it just became a joke. Then we made stickers, and that also made it seem really serious.
Yeah.
Because we had stickers, that you see the stickers around, and you're like, yeah, Hannah had a sticker like 2 years before we met each other.
Yeah, like
Planet X sticker, like we just dumped off at record stores and stuff, so people would be like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, this is like a record label, that's cool.
And then it just became like, basically then I guess it didn't really become a real label until I started meeting other bands that didn't have releases. And I was like, why don't you guys have anything out? And they're just like, oh, we just, we don't have any money, we don't know how to do that. I'm like, we'll do it, our record label will do it. Then just pretended to be a record label, and that's pretty much what I've been doing for like almost 20 years now.
Planet X has really shaped the ability for almost anyone to get into punk music, whereas before you had to have amps and a drummer and a bass guitarist. Now there's kind of this unspoken thing where it's like, well, if you're punk, then I guess the music you're playing is punk, so you're punk.
Close my eyes and pretend that I'm in a punk band. I'm in a loud band, a rock and this roll band, and no one can tell me you're so folk punk. That shit just isn't cool anymore. We're all over it, trying to do something better, kid.
saw some reviews, like critical reviews of Planet X stuff saying like, you know, it has that Planet X sound. High-pitched vocals, slightly off-key. And I was like, what? I was like, oh. Well, I guess that's kind of true.
Kind of true, though, isn't it? I was like, holy shit, like, weird, sort of strange, like, punky voices and acoustic instruments and, like, angry at the government stuff. Like, what could be better? And I was really excited about it.
Yeah, something just kind of feels like home, and it just feels honest about, like, wavering off-key vocals and guitars and instruments that are just out of tune. I don't know, it just feels kind of like home, because it's not perfect, but it's honest, and that's what it's all about, really. So it was nice finding some honesty in this just sea of, like, I was just listening to, not necessarily mainstream, but like Fat Records bands and stuff, and it's just cool to see, like, just the total difference and the total shift in, like, the people involved.
With a lot of punk rock projects, it's more about personal relationships with other people than it is about, you know, I don't know, like sort of infrastructure or like, you know, this label like gets me like the right promotion or advertising or something, which is how I think a lot of people would think about the labels that they were on in the wider music industry. But to me, it's just like, I just like to imagine that I'm helping Chris Clavin like hang out in his room and like send people punk records and avoid wage labor successfully, you know, for a couple more minutes as a result of being part of his project. That's the sort of thing that I really like about working with things like Planet X Records, is the people that are involved and hoping that I'm contributing to them being able to build the life that they want to live.
Then there's like the people that are shocked that strangers will let you stay at their house. That's always a big funny thing. Like, where I don't think I could do that. Just go on tour and like try to get a stranger to let you stay at their house, you know, or whatever. And
yeah.
Like, it's really not weird, you know. Or my parents being like, "You let these bands stay at your house?" I'm like, yeah.
Right.
Like, what if they steal something? I'm like, they're not gonna steal something. Like, they definitely wouldn't steal anything. And if they did, they would like ruin the reputation forever, and they'd never be able to get another show.
When we plan a tour, we're like, well, what time of year is it going to be, and what's going to have nice weather? It's usually how we plan it.
It's about sending like 60 emails
an hour.
Yeah, every day, and then hopefully getting one or two back from, realistically getting one or two back from like 20 to 25 emails.
Yeah,
you
pretty
that's
much
frustrating, but
you just like email, call, text everyone you know, and then you just get any possible contacts you have and just like send something out to everyone.
Even people who you know can't help you, you make sure that they don't know someone who could maybe help you.
Yeah.
Or maybe they know someone who knows someone who knows someone.
I had a rucksack and I had a guitar case, and I would just get on the train and go from place to place and play shows. And some of them were regular shows in bars or whatever, but some of them were like squat shows, some of them were house parties, some of them were like libraries and shit on roofs of houses, whatever. And I was kind of constantly booking myself about 6 weeks ahead of where I was. I slept on the floor a lot. I did a lot of stage shout-outs for places to sleep.
And we probably had like the first 3/4 of the tour all booked before we left. And then you spend like the rest of your tour like booking the rest of your shows while you're on the road. Just like stopping at like Paneras.
That's a pain too.
It's a pain in the ass. Like everyone's just sitting on their computer sending out emails, just waiting.
Once we do that, like we're just nice people, so we usually get along with people unless they're dicks. Like it's not hard to build a community if you're nice to people and if you're receptive to people's kindness and you appreciate it.
We had 10 people in an 8-passenger van full of all our gear. And we were like, not only do we need a floor to sleep on, we need a floor to sleep on big enough for 10 fucking people. And that was tough. And then we got a van and a trailer, and then I was like, all right, we can spread out a little bit. We still need a floor to sleep on, you know? And it was like getting started, it was all about friends. It was all about networking. Finding a friend in Philly, finding a friend in Chicago, finding a friend in New York City, and trading shows with these bands.
You know, whenever I am on home, I try and put bands up the whole time when they're on tour. And actually, sometimes when I'm not home, because I have a flatmate who can let them in, but because I feel like I've got dues to repay.
It's one of those things, like if you play a show with a band and they're like, hey, we're looking for a show in San Antonio or whatever, do you know somebody? And it's just passing along your friend's contact info. Just even the smallest stuff like that can be just a huge help. Or hey, we found a place to stay. Do you need a place? We can check to see if it's cool, blah, blah, blah.
That's the sort of way of interacting with people that I would like to see generalized into the world in general. I would like to see a world where that sort of sense of mutual aid replaced, say, what we think of as the economy currently. The idea that we need to exchange everything, in order to get the most for ourselves. My experience within the punk community is that that's not, in fact, how everyone treats each other all the time. We're sort of raised to believe that that's like human nature, is everyone's trying to get one over on each other. But my experience in punk has been that people are very capable of treating each other in a different way, and that's very inspiring.
You're all about the destination, the take a fucking flight. We're going nowhere slowly, but we're seeing all the sights. Come on!
My shows, I like the idea of my shows being communal events and I want to say celebrations actually. It's important to me that I'm an entertainer as much as anything else. I know some bands get a bit kind of iffy about being called entertainers, and I think personally that's the wrong way to approach it. My job tonight in this room is to make sure that all the people who paid their money to see the show get that amount of kind of enjoyment and of the weight of the world being lifted off their shoulders for however many hours,
It's a really familiar space, like a headspace for me, and it's almost meditative. And the set will go by, with no concept of how long it's been, how long we've been playing, like the urge to be like tired and physically drained is somewhat gone. There's like adrenaline pumping, and I think that it translates, to the audience, and I think that we also feel what the audience is doing. So like tonight when people are dancing and having an awesome time, pushing each other around, and it really kind of fuels us.
Well, get rowdy. It's a lot more fun than I don't know. I've been to some pretty awesome big shows like the Metro and the Congress and like stadiums and stuff, but there's nothing like getting drunk in your friend's garage with a bunch of kids that you went to high school with and watching some of them play music, and oh man.
You can't escort that kid out. I'm sorry. You can't throw that kid out. I just can't watch a kid that paid money escorted out for having fun. Please. But here's the deal. With that said, they have rules. For some reason tonight, Lamb of God played here, and I'm sure there was shitloads of craziness. And other bands play here, but for some reason tonight, they aren't letting crowd surfing. I don't know why. But tonight it's not allowed. So I don't want anybody getting kicked out, so please, no more crowd surfing. Rock out there, but I don't want anyone else getting kicked out. Even though it's bullshit, we'll play someplace different next time. But
we finally find this church, and we go in, and there's actually like a bill of bands that we're gonna play, and all of the bands were telling me, they're like, oh yeah, we're just here for Chalk Talk. I'm like, dude, you guys are playing, like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, no, Chalk Talk's the only real band here, blah, blah, blah. And it seemed like everybody revered these guys and stuff. And they weren't even here yet. Everybody was on the stage. Chalk Talk took all the amps and stuff and brought them onto the floor with us. And, like, they're totally equalizing it. And I was like, what are they doing? And Matt's like, yeah, they like to play, like, on the ground, like, with the people. I was like, what?
The singing along thing is when it really feels like way more than just like music, or
It does.
You've got this room full of people that all know the same song.
Rejoice, rejoice, God hears our senses. Oh, rejoice, His eyes are big access.
Incredible feeling for sure.
Yeah.
Like even tonight, seeing a bunch of people that we've never met before, I was like, oh, there's a good number of people. They're probably here to see one of the other bands. And then we started playing, and all of a sudden they knew the words to our songs, and I was like, what?
But like that moment, like when it's like a whole room like cooperating to make a song happen. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
There's nothing feels better than when you're playing too and that's happening, you know, because like, you know, you don't have to sing as loud because the whole room is like screaming, you know, and like
It's true, it helps.
and you know, and you know that like your songs like reach people and that they're sharing it, you know, together. Like all of you are just kind of, it's pretty much like everyone's in the band and you're just playing music together, which is really what music should be.
I'm afraid that the circles I've been in, dream myself in, I pick it up, or the battles that I try to fit inside of them. But punk rock music saved my life, I can sing it honestly.
You know, you're like, okay, okay.
Up the punks, up the punks, up the punks. Up the punks, up the punks, up the punks. Up the punks, up the punks, up the punks.
Every little moment that you've had that was like awkward or wonderful or terrible, and you didn't talk about it, like they've said it, and you're like, yes, thank you for vocalizing that, because I couldn't, and now somebody's doing that for me, and I feel better about it.
It's about feeling lonely and antsy in the places that you live and the places that you work and the friends that you have, even if you love all of those things.
Alright, one of the last songs they played was that song that's about just hating everything about corporate culture, and basically Bomb the Music Industry, they name check every brand in the whole song, and they're like,
When I finally got to work today, I ate my Subway sandwich, I drank my Coca-Cola Classic, and then I ate my sub chips, you guys, and then I thought about the weekend when I fill up my Ford van with bubble red gas and drive to the clear tunnel by noon. They play my fucking guitar, then I set their amplifier, I drink my Subway Budweiser, and tell me because of the street thing. You're a short microphone, and JBL speakers, that carburetor is for suckers. Say what you will about 311 albums, but 311 albums, there was never a point where I questioned, like, well, fuck, man, did 311 lie this whole time? No way, man, 311 just wanted to play sweet grooves and smoke some weed, so fuck yeah.
Yeah, you mentioning chills, I feel like that's exactly like when we're, yes, when I'm at a show and like sing along, it happens, but I guess especially when people are singing along with us, when it's like a room full of people, it's like, oh my god, this is like, this cool, amazing, like chill comes over me, and I'm just like, oh, this is amazing, like this is incredible, that feeling.
And I made your mother say those things that she said to me. Could you guys please tell me what she said? Do with me what you want, but please don't hurt my family. Don't hurt my family. I said there's nothing like chain smoking, GBC, cigarettes. Humanity smokes will kill you, but these will make you feel like it.
Just so people are aware, the only reason that we haven't all been knocking over and all our stuff hasn't got broken is because there's people standing here pushing you back. So thank you for doing that.
When you're dancing, just try to be aware of the people that might be next to you. They may not appreciate getting hit in the face by your fists or by your arms, because that's been a recurring problem on this tour, is that people just don't seem to be very nice about the way that they're treating each other when they're dancing, and that really bums me out to like see people getting hurt at something that should be fun and safe for everybody.
There's a lot of things in the world that I believe should be broken, but I don't think that anything in this room or this building qualifies as one of those things. So if you want to take out some aggression, you know, here there's a police station nearby, and that could be one possible target. All right, let's begin the show.
I think for a lot of people, DIY is kind of more of a default thing, because you start doing something and then it's easier to do it yourself, and so you do it that way. And for other people, sometimes it becomes obviously much more of a political thing, because financially you're not paying into a more commodified system, and you're not paying into record labels or these things that are more out to make money off of artists.
I mean, traditionally, like, humans have just shared music with each other, like you think about how long human beings have been playing music versus how long there's been a record label, you know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's a big, there's, you know, it's like whatever, you know, this long of music and this long of music as a business.
It's just everything we've done has made sense for us along the way, for us to do. And then when it became too crazy or too big, we expanded and did something else. Like, we made all our shirts and patches ourselves until we needed like hundreds of them. And we're like, oh, we need like someone that has a silk screening warehouse to do this. So we grew to that level.
But when I first started playing on my own, playing acoustic stuff, yeah, I just, again, I had CDRs. I didn't really make a label for them. I just wrote them with a Sharpie, wrote my website address on them, and went out, ran my own website, kind of ran everything myself really at the beginning. And other people have come on board since then, obviously, and things have kind of picked up to another level. But right now, I mean, I'm still pretty hands-on with a lot of what I do, in the sense that, like, I know how much ticket prices are, I know how much merch prices are, I know who's getting paid what in my crew, you know, I know how much CDs generally cost, and I keep an eye on all that kind of thing, because to sort of build, to me, you know, I want people who come to my shows to be part of kind of a community. They're not consumers to me. You know, they're people who are kind of coming to be part of the show, and I can't do a show without people coming to it.
DIY is also a lot of clerical work. That's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. Like being a DIY band means that you have to spend a lot of time like making things and then like filling out mail orders and just like sitting at a computer or like working on booking a tour.
You basically have no budget.
You have no budget, no money at all.
Hopefully you play a show and get $30 to get home and then $5 to spend on copies at Staples or
print shops or
print
wherever.
shops, yeah.
I mean, literally everything that happens in this house, as far as like us packaging like stuff for bands, whether it be vinyls, tapes, or like us getting stuff ready for like Sex Cave, like it all happens in this room. Like this coffee table is like our work area. This is like where we do all of our clerical stuff.
We park at UMass and then walk up the longest walk ever, like past the police station. Like we finally get to a house and we go to the back and there's kids everywhere. Dude, this is Babe Town.
One time Brian was at Subway and we were really drunk because our friend works there, and we were just like hanging out there because it was a place to get drunk.
It was cool.
Yeah, it was sweet. And we were behind the counter making our own sandwiches and eating cookies and shit. And Brian was so wasted he like really couldn't stand up, and he was like leaning against the wall. I was just like, Brian, where are we? And he was like, Babe Town. And then you're like, what the fuck? Distro. Here's Black Church's full length. Hot off the press, kinda. So usually I work out in the basement.
For every tour, aside from this, we've had spray paint stencils and made free shirts for people. Really early on, everybody told us it was a stupid, terrible idea and we weren't going to be able to do anything. And, you know, fuck them, fuck that. Like, this worked out great. This is great. We couldn't be happier, I suppose. So, if you're doing some shit that you think is cool and everybody else will tell you is weird, fuck those motherfuckers, man.
I make the shirt designs. Our friend Erik prints them. We've been spray painting shirts for years and years and years, and like John does it a lot of the time. I used to do it a lot of the time, and that's just on us. And we record everything ourselves. Tom either records it in his studio or I record it at my house, and then we put a record together. And yeah, so we don't have to worry about time constraints of like being in the studio, or commerce constraints of like maybe putting out something that's not gonna sell. Like, it doesn't fucking matter.
I only had the shirt on my back, and they're like, yo, do you want a spray painted shirt? I was like, yeah, man, but like I only got this shirt. They're like, take it off. So I took off my shirt, like completely drenched in sweat, on Lansdowne Street, and like they're in front of their van, like spray painting all this stuff. They made like a big heart around it, and they're like, bomb the music industry.
DIY doesn't necessarily mean photocopied hand-glued sleeves. If that's all that you can achieve at that situation, fucking A, go for it, do it that way. But it's possible to achieve more with DIY, and to maintain that as an outlook as you progress through different parts of either the music industry or indeed life.
I know that when you play DIY music for people who've only heard mainstream music, they're always like really shocked by the recording quality.
Oh, that's true.
Which after you've been listening to underground music for a little while, you don't think about it anymore.
Yeah.
But I remember the first recordings I heard that I thought were really lo-fi and crappy, like in how mind-blowing it was, because you're like imagining, like, was this recorded in like a garage or something, you know, like what the hell is this horrible sounding music or whatever. And then now looking back on the stuff that I thought was horribly recorded was actually like really well recorded, you know.
I'm gonna sound like such a douchebag, but it's like constructivist art, where the reason it was so popular and people like it so much is because you can see how they did it, and you feel like you can do it too.
I've always recorded my own records myself, using a computer, microphones, try to make it sound as professional as I can, because that's, you know, I've studied it, and I really like having that control over the sound and what things are going to sound like. But ultimately, it's cheap, so I can afford it. You know I can get the record done. I know I can give myself a due date and get to it and get it done myself.
I don't think anybody fucking cares. I don't think anybody listens to a record, like especially like a top 40 listener who listens to a record. Like if there was a record that sounded kind of questionable that was on the radio, they'd just be like, all right, there's a song on the radio. They wouldn't be like, that snare sounds funny.
I think people come to understand the fact that, you know, if the song is good, the song is good. If they see that we're enthusiastic about it, they'll know that we care about the music, and it doesn't really matter, you know, whether or not the songs are recorded in like $1 million studio or something like that.
We made a decision to give our music away for free the first time that we put out an album, and you know, I would trade the millions of dollars that we would have made on that album.
Oh yeah, the hundreds of millions of dollars.
For the fact that like kids had access to our music, and when we showed up somewhere, people knew the words, you know, and I think that that's like really what it's all about for us.
A lot of people say that if you're not famous or rich, you're not trying hard enough. A lot of people try hard enough. It's just fortunate America is fortunate, and unfortunate America sometimes has to work really hard.
Why fucking worry about somebody fucking up something that's so important to you? You should just do it on your own, you know? Like, then at least if it gets fucked up, it's your fault, and you don't have to like have this fictitious evil person that you're blaming for shit. Like, you're like, alright, well, I booked a shitty tour and these places were bad. I'm not gonna book with them anymore, and I learned something from this. And then you grow. It's a good way to grow instead of just having somebody handle shit for you and just kind of float by it.
Thinking about like starting my own non-for-profit studio for kids to come, like high school kids to come work and learn from other like college students and stuff. And I don't think that I would have thought of that about something like that if I hadn't been influenced by like the Planet X crew being in my hometown.
If you're on the road, if you're far away from home, you're on a shoestring budget, you're in a van full of people, you've got nowhere to sleep, nowhere to stay. If your van breaks down, you fix it. That's what you do. You don't fuck around. You don't have time. You know, there's places you've got to be. And I think it gives you this kind of mindset that's great, because it's just like, get it done. Do you know what I mean? Don't fuck around. Don't sit there kind of wondering if you can call mum and dad to get them sorted out for you, or moaning about it, or putting it off for a month, or whatever it might be. Get it the fuck done. I like to think that that's kind of translated into other aspects of my life. I think I'm not saying I'm perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination, but I think I'm better now at kind of handling things and just handling problems that arise in my life than I was before I started doing all this.
You know, this is not our day job, so it's something we do for fun, and you know, because we don't know how to live life without doing it, because it's been our lives forever. You know, as soon as we started, you know, listening to punk, we're like, oh yeah, we're playing bands and release records. And like, I don't know what I would do without it. I'd probably cease to exist and melt and poof into a pile of dust if I didn't have it.
On the back roads in a small town where my grandpa put his roots down, I was holding your hand, thinking about what it means to go home at the gates of Fort Benning, where the killers learn their trade. I saw a woman climb the fence to the other side. When they took her away, she said,